Thanks, Peter, and thanks, everyone. Good morning to the sponsors of the program and to our viewers and everybody else. Perhaps we need to start by just recapping our approach in the fight against crime. I think the editor of The New Age, Moxon, did touch on some of the things which inform us in the fight against crime in South Africa. In the main, there are three critical principles as ANC government are using in addressing the challenge of crime, especially its uniquely random and violent nature in our country. And I must understand that because that's one very unique issue, that the crime in South Africa is violent. And the first of this is the context that the battle against crime cannot be separated from the war on want. That if we move from that premise, we would know that in the main, the incidents of conduct crimes such as murder, grievous bodily harm, and rape occur amongst acquaintances, and especially in poor communities. Secondly, specific mindsets and historical conditions are the ones who are driving elements of crime problem. And these are the proliferation of firearms in the hands of civilians, especially illegal firearms, greed and consumption and conspicuous consumption, the psychology of patriarchal power relations, and attitudes towards weaker members of society, especially children. And thirdly, the networks of crime have grown in their reach and sophistication across national boundaries. These include syndicates that deal with money laundering, human smuggling, as well as drug trafficking and abuse. It is against this backdrop, ladies and gentlemen, that this administration adopted 5 priorities, and amongst them, the fight against crime. And I must make the point that the government's program, outcome 3 of the program of government, talks to this fact of the fight against crime, that we are striving to ensure that all people in South Africa are and feel safe. I must hasten to say that policing in South Africa remains a difficult duty and heavy responsibilities, because whatever happens in society, whether it's members of the public disagreeing with their public representatives about service delivery, whether it's heartless criminals abusing young kids and the elderly, the 90-year-old grandmothers and so on, at the end of the day, when police have to come and deal with those things, all of them are left with the police. They become the problem of the police. Someone is not able to take care of his or her child, a 10-year-old is involved in drugs, and the person go to sleep without knowing where the child is, it comes back to the police. They will ask, but where are the police? Now everybody understand that it is not an easy task. Yes, the causes of crime are complex, and government has an obligation to provide basic necessities like health care, education, and other social necessities. Yes, unemployment remains high in our country, particularly amongst youth, although government hopes to reduce unemployment significantly going forward. Now, as South Africa, we're not an island. We are part and parcel of the Interpol communities, where we are able to exchange views on the trends of crime and what needs to be done. And because of that, 4 years in our democracy, we developed a white paper on safety and security. And it has been a long time since then. We have decided to review the white paper because so much has happened in the safety and security space. The 9/11 and other things which are happening all over the world made us to rethink and embark on a process to review the green paper and look at the very practical things people faced with. And one of those which the review of the white paper, which is the green paper currently, is trying to do is to look at the demarcations. Many a times we come across members of the public complaining that if there's something which has happened to him or her, and the nearest police station it goes to or she goes to, gets told that no, actually, your police station area is police station X. So people have to go a long way to reach there. And one of the things we're saying is that this is one South Africa. We must find a way that when South Africans approach police stations, are served wherever they are, and not to be, to have a book thrown at them and say, no, but your demarcation does not allow that and so on. But we look at other things. Because of the changing environment in our country, the public protests have risen. And that is why a few years ago, we decided to re-establish and enhance the public order policing. And we continue to capacitate that area. The issue also of building police stations, as you know, that the spatial development of the past dictated that police stations have to be in the cities and towns, and once or twice in one farm area and so on. In the past 20 years, we didn't only change the paradigm of policing in South Africa, the paradigm which has at its core the fight against crime. And that has not been the case in the 8 years of existence of the police before 1994. That in the main, this was a tool for suppression of political organizations and movements and thinking. But we have also said that that which people of the cities and town need, people of rural areas and townships and villages need as well. And that is the building of police stations, which we have in the past 19 years, built 119 police stations. Currently, what we have just done is to respond to the call in the National Development Plan. And that call is that let us professionalize the police, that over and above professional training of the police in police colleges and so on, we also needed to enhance police academically. That is why we opened up the university, which we will be running in January 2014. And our intention as police leadership and management is to create this capacity and provide the professional service to the community of South Africa, at the same time equipping the police to deal with this complex task of fighting crime. But as I said, that ours is to ensure that we respond to the ever-changing environment in the fight against crime. And our improving of crime investigation through DNA especially becomes important, because this is one of the most scientific way of ensuring prosecution. Crime is becoming sophisticated, not only in South Africa, but globally. And this includes methods of communication, false documentation, travel, and electronic gadgets used for various purposes. The use of DNA in solving crime in particular, serious violent crime, is an imperative in any law enforcement agency. Although DNA is being used for many years, there is a dire need for a proper regulatory regime, including adequate controls and safety measures in that regard. The passing of Criminal Law Forensic Procedures Amendment Act, otherwise known as DNA Act, will support our strategic objective of contributing to the successful prosecution of crimes through thorough investigation, thereby increasing the detection rate of priority crimes, particularly crimes against women, children, and the elderly. The capacitation of the detective and the working together of the detective, the intelligence, and organized crime. And for us, where sometimes we falter is when we don't work very closely together, particularly these different units in the fight against crime. But where we work together as a unit, as we've experienced, we see results. The apprehension of Kreja, for instance, this weekend, is one such example of this integrated approach within the police, that if we work not to outsmart each other, we're able to see result. In fact, this is one major topical issue these days, and I know the community of Gauteng in general and Bedford View have very strong views about this. All what I want to say this morning is that we share their views, we share their opinions, but we also know that the police have been working very hard on this matter and will continue to do so, regardless of what perhaps critics would say. Some people have been saying that police are reluctant to arrest such characters, and we've said no, but thorough work has to be done. You can't be reckless simply because you want to arrest somebody. But I want to make a point that there is nobody who would be feared by South African Police Service in this country. That if you have committed crime, no matter how tall, no matter how big you are, we are going to get you. Doesn't matter who you are. But we'll do that within the law and ensure that we follow the law to the letter. We've also emphasized the point of improving frontline service at police stations. And this is one part which goes to the heart of our public. I always say to the management of the police that police stations are not tourist destinations or attraction areas. So when people come to the police stations because they have a problem, you can't just come there. I mean, there's nothing very beautiful to attract you just to come, except knowing that it goes with arrest and so on. So we emphasize this point. And from time to time, we go to the public, to the communities, and get their feedback amongst this. The area, which is also important, the protecting of women, children, and the elderly. I must say that since the re-establishment of Family Violence, Child Protection, and Sexual Offences Unit, the FCS, there's been tangible result in the fight against this, against a huge backdrop of a society which has to have a dialogue amongst itself on what has gone wrong within society. Because police can do this much. When you have a problem in areas like Diepsloot, for instance, children, in fact infants, being brutally killed and so on, you had precisely on that weekend, when the kids were buried, the acting provincial commissioner of Gauteng, General Mthethwa, calls me and say, Minister, we've just arrested a lady here who has neglected a 2-year-old and has gone drinking. Now, such things really would be expecting much from the police to take care of our kids. Something has to be dealt with within the community and society at large, and we discuss these things, what is each person's role is in this area. And coincidentally today, as we are here, it is the launch of the government's 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. This is an important campaign that seeks to conscientize and mobilize society to fight this scourge. A greater proportion of murders, as we said earlier on, of rapes, all these conduct crimes. In fact, most research point to more than 80% that those are done within the amongst acquaintances. We also have developed in different provinces after the launching of a few years ago, the rural safety strategy, that we have now rural safety committees in provinces, and we seek to have it in all provinces. So far, Northwest, Gauteng, Free State, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga have been able to establish these committees, because it is very important that all of our society are protected, including people in the rural areas. Right now, we are in the festive season, and that program is rolling. At the heart of the program, again, is the police visibility. And this program, the current programs, look at increasing this visibility and aim at dealing with aggravated robberies, border security, illegal firearms, Liquor and Second-Hand Goods Act enforcement, bylaw enforcement, and road and safety enforcement. We're also enforcing the Second-Hand Goods Act. And this amendment actually say that the people who are stealing, mostly copper cables and all these other things, but generally stealing, who are called thieves, and those who buy from them, with this law amended, are treated equally, that those who have bought from thieves would be taken as thieves. As you know, that the Second Goods Act in the past was stipulating the sentence up to 10 months. And we said, this is very serious crime. That's why people have been getting fines and so on. And we said, because it deals with the economy of the country, it deals with other things. When people come to steal in our homes and everywhere else, they don't only do that. They also hurt and harm the inhabitants. And therefore, having a maximum of 10 months is not a deterrent at all. That's why we said we need to up it just a bit, from 10 months to 10 years maximum, because it is quite a serious matter, which everybody must take seriously. But I've been told, Peter, that it's always advisable to have more time to engage with the audience. That is why I want to end up with this point of police officers, in fact, the last but one, police officers who are involved in crime and criminality. That part of the problem is that over a period of time, it has been discovered that the police have been able to protect each other. And we've said that there would be no protection. That is why, even when we hear that there are police officers who are being arrested, and that has happened because of the work of their very colleagues, because the bigger body of police officers are people who are law-abiding citizens. And the last point is the point which I want to make as a clarion call to the public, that there are people who do not tire. They plan and kill police officers. And in most cases, police officers have been killed whilst responding to a call-up by members of the public. And to say to all of us that one police death is one too many, because what it does is that the force level, the strength of the police in each particular area is minimized. And if it's minimized, the public is exposed to crime and criminality. So it should be the task of all of us to work with the police, to support the police and other structures in saying no to police killings in our country. As you said, Peter, I'm here. I have all the divisions here with me. So would be looking forward to engaging with you and the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Minister. And I'll ask you to take a seat.